have one topology in GNS3 between 1.1.1 and 3.3. I have BGP reading, right? BGP session. But what is the issue here? You can see BGP neighborship between 1.1.1 and 3.3.3 is idle. For now, later we will talk about BGP states as well. Idle is one of them. For now, just understand one thing, that idle is not the good state of BGP. Yes or no? Idle means it is like OSPF two-way. It can be like OSPF two-way, init, access start, right? But this is not the full state, final state where BGP exchange the routes, right? That means neighborship is not established between 1.1.1 and 3.3.3. Because of that, these LAN users and these LAN users from 10.1.1.0/24 subnet are not able to communicate with 30.1.1.0/24 subnet. How you can troubleshoot it? Now I want you to tell me your troubleshooting steps here. If you are getting this issue, how you will troubleshoot it, what you will identify, what you will verify here, that why neighborship is not up. Whatever command you are going to ask me to run, I will be running on the router, but I want to fix you guys. Here you can see on router number 1, I have access of router 1 and router 3. So IP BGP summary, neighborship is stuck in which state? In idle state. That's why. So IP BGP, you can see in the BGP table we have only 10 subnet. We don't have BGP session between router 1 and router 2 or between router 2 and router 3. We have only one BGP session between router 1.1.1 and 3.3.3. What you will verify first if you have this is
reachability between R1 and R3.
Great. Not R1 and R3, between these two loop back.
Reachability
between these two loop back. Between 3.3.3.3 and source 1.1.1. Here is the reachability in front of you. What next? Very good. Everyone should verify this first only, that ping is working or not. This is mandatory. And if I will talk about the BGP session, so we have eBGP. Here BGP number is 100 and here BGP number is 100.
Configured on both routers with the
BGP
correct
configuration.
AS.
So run section BGP configuration on router number 1 and let me run it on router 3 also. So run section BGP. Here you can see my BGP configuration. One by one, see on the both routers. Here I said router BGP 100, neighbor 3.3.3 remote AS 200, neighbor 3.3.3 multi-hop 2 to increase the TTL value. Then I said neighbor 3.3.3 update source loopback 1, and finally network 10.1.1.0 mask 255.255.255 dot. On router number 3, router BGP AS number 200, neighbor 1.1.1 remote AS 100, neighbor 1.1.1 multi-hop 2 and neighbor 1.1.1 update source loopback 1, and finally network 30.1.1.
Sir, can we terminate
3.3
TCP.
Yes, you can see here I can define the port number. Port number 179. Not enabled. On R1 you can check telnet 1.1.1.1 and port number 179. The BGP configuration. Now, don't you think we should verify the TCP connection directly? The TCP connection is there or not between 1.1.1 and 3.3. TCP session is established or not? So TCP session is not established when we have verified the port number. Either you can run this command show TCP brief. You can see we don't have any TCP. Can anyone tell me what can be the issue? Configuration is exactly same. You can see all the things are already configured properly.
I think there is no three-way handshake established, right?
So why three-way handshake is not getting established?
BGP, there could be two things like either routers are not listening on port 179 or the BGP has not initiated.
But if you have enabled the BGP protocol, port number should be enabled. Port 179. After running this command router BGP 100, port 179 should be enabled now.
Yes, I think
Maybe
so.
port is
Yes.
not open. Maybe port is not open.
Port is open, brother. Port is showing what?
Okay.
Connection refused. What I am saying, if I have enabled the BGP on the router and if port number is not enabled, that can be also one issue. So why that? When it can be happened?
Is there any restriction?
There is no
Is
any
there any?
restriction.
Okay.
I have just configure IP addresses on this router and enable these commands, nothing else, and made reachability.
Any timer issues?
No time. What I am saying, just I have connected this router, I have configured the IP addresses, made the reachability between 1.1.1 and 3.3.3, and that then I have enabled the BGP. I have run commands on both the router. I have not configured anything else. So here is the issue in reachability. You know 1.1.1 and 3.3.3. How these two IP addresses are reachable with each other. Let me show you. If router 1, when router 1 is going to forward TCP SYN message to their neighbor, how it will forward? Neighbor 1.1.1 remote AS 100 on R3 and on R1 neighbor 3.3.3 remote AS 200. Or router 1 is going to send TCP message. It will generate TCP message and it will open routing table. So IP route 3.3.3.3 to find the route to reach neighbor. But what it's saying, network not in
table.
Network not in table, right? So neighbor IP address is not present in local routing table. Then Praful, how it is reachable? Maybe it is
So we
reachable.
must. So if we tell BGP to use a loopback as a source interface.
That is already configured. What I am saying, if neighbor IP address is not available in local routing table, then it is not going to initiate any message of BGP. Routers are not going to initiate any message of BGP. But why it is not available in routing table and reachability is there? How reachability is there then? Because ping is working.
IGP.
Ping 3.3.3 ping is working. So we have one default route. So IP route. We have one default route towards R2. And on R3 also I have one default route. Always keep in mind BGP does not consider default route. So reachability is not only the thing required for BGP session. Route for the IP address must be present in the routing table, right? So instead of checking connectivity, always you should check route for neighbor IP address in local routing. As both the loopbacks are reachable through default route, BGP is not coming up. If I will change the default route to so run and section BGP, not BGP, sorry, IP route, IP route, instead of default route, if I am going to configure no to this, and if I am going to configure route like this, IP route 3.3.3 55.255.255.255 and exit interface F0/0 next stop IP 12.1.2. Will my BGP session come up? Yes, my BGP session will come up now. On router number 2 also we need to do same thing. IP route 1.1.1 255.255.255. Now you can see the BGP log message, right? This interface F0/0 next stop IP 23.1.1. Default route will not work. Right now, when you will configure router BGP 100 neighbor 3.3.3 remote AS XYZ, doesn't matter. Router is going to look up routing table, so IP route 3.3.3. It will find the next hop IP address and it will send the TCP in message to this next hop.